Okay, I think we're good. Hello, my name is Em, and I would like to welcome you to my first official non-lock video. Usually I'm coming on here giving lock updates, but for a long time I have wanted to do a different topic on here, but I just couldn't decide where to start. And then recently I found myself in two different conversations about dating and relationships, and our long-term relationships specifically. And yeah, in both of those conversations, they were like, you should, start talking about this with other people. So yeah, I figured why not come on this channel and share some of thoughts on dating and long-term relationships. And then of course, get some interaction and feedback on that, because something that I've really loved about being on here is just the community and the encouragement, and just how we've all learned from each other in different ways. And so I was hoping that by coming on here and sharing some of my thoughts, maybe that'll trigger some discussion and people can share their perspective and all that good stuff. So yeah, I'd like to really officially kick this off. And plus, I realized with these videos, with the videos I typically do on here, there really isn't a lot of chance or opportunity to talk about other things, or I haven't used it to talk about other things. So yeah, this will be a first time. So thank you for joining me on this new kind of endeavor that got going on here. So and then I guess I want to give a little bit of background, just a little bit of background before getting started. I actually had not seen marriage or long-term relationships as something for me. For many reasons, I didn't. And it's not that I didn't date. I did. If somebody, if someone asked me out and I found them interesting and all that, I would go out, because I think interacting with people is very interesting. I think I love to get to know more about a person's mind, and just getting to know people. I try to be a little open to life in that way. And I can handle one-on-one interactions. I can do that. So I kind of humored that, but really, even in all of that, I still couldn't quite see it as something for me. And then under unusual circumstances, I met the man who would become my husband. And I'm telling you that this just completely shook up my entire life. I did not expect it. I did not expect to meet him. I did not when he asked me to marry him, there was a lot going through my mind. And even subconsciously, getting into our relationship a bit more, I think there are a lot of questions that I asked myself, just having based on my previous dating experience, having been talked into a relationship or two here and there. I learned a lot, and I made a lot of mistakes. And so now for this video, I've written down some 10 questions to ask yourself when in a relationship, particularly talking about dating and long term. And yeah, again, these are based on my experience, and I think everybody's list is going to be very different. We all have different standards and ideas of things, that work for us and make us happy. But I want to share mine, and I want this to be as interactive as possible. I know we're not on a live stream or anything like that right now, but I would like to encourage you that as I make the points, if there's anything that comes up in your mind, feel free to note that down below. We can get that discussion going. Just if it triggers something for you, if you want to share some of your important questions that you've asked yourself when it comes to that. And I say ask yourself because I really feel it's something that you kind of observe. I feel all of these are something that the actions will speak for themselves. So, all right, so I'm going to dive into it, but please know that if I'm looking down, I am looking at my very messy handwriting where I've listed all the points so I don't get too off track. So that's what's going on. All right, so the first thing is kind of obvious, but needs to be said. And that is, do our morals and principles line up? So I feel like with life being what it is and with being individuals, conflict will arise, misunderstandings, disagreements, those kinds of things will happen. And it's very hard to have any kind of constructive conversation when you're not on the same page with what's right and what's wrong. And it can make it very hard. Someone may not even understand what you're trying to say. Again, I'm saying this based on my experience, okay, and observations. So that one can just lead to so much headache. And I'm a big fan of peace. I'm a big fan of not having not having too much craziness like come up and shock me. And I feel like one way to automatically quickly help with that is, you know, making sure that I'm on the same page with them morally and principles and other things like that. So number 2, though, I'm excited to talk about. Number 2 is, do their actions line up with their words? So this is huge. Because I think some words are very easy. It's so easy. Like, I can tell you anything. I can say anything. But do my actions line up with that? And I think a great example of this is I love you. Okay, people say this a lot. And almost to the point where I don't even fully know what it means for most people. I'm not sure. But I have my definition. And I think in general, when it comes to dealing with relationships, especially dating towards long term, it's extremely important to know where you stand, where your own definitions stand. Because how will you even know if they're, you know, if you're compatible, if you don't even know what your own standard is? So for me, I know what love means to me. And I know, like, I love to hear I love you. Of course, I love when my husband tells me that. But I really love, like, you know, he shows that every day. And that really matters. That hits home even more so than the words. But the words are nice too. But things have to line up. And, you know, another example of this is like, I'm sorry. You know, it's so easy to say. It rolls off the tongue. I'm sorry. You know, just effortless. But if the person's not actively trying to correct the action that they are supposedly sorry for, are they sorry? And another reason this point really matters is because I feel like over time, as you observe actions not lining up with their words, it leads to distrust, which is essentially poison in a relationship. Like, I feel like if you feel like you can't trust somebody, whether you know it or not, it's going to cause tension. And you may not even realize why you're so tense, but it just is messy. It's so messy. So for me, if their actions don't line up with their words, forget about it. It doesn't matter. So yeah, again, my points. Feel free to leave comments below if you have a different opinion. Number 3, do I like them as is? So if they don't change, if they are the exact same person, okay, for the rest of their lives, is that okay? Like, do you like their personality, their character, the way they are? Like, do you like that? And the thing is, like, I'm not talking about, like, you know, there's some people that really need some help, you know, but I'm talking just in general though. Like, I feel like people in general deserve to be liked and loved and stuff. And if you don't like them and you're dating them off of potential and things like that, that doesn't feel good. That you're not going to be happy about it and they're not going to be happy about it. It doesn't mean that we shouldn't encourage each other to, you know, want to improve. And I feel like as people, we should be in a state of continuous improvement. Like, I feel like we should always be trying to do a better job and be a better version of ourselves. But I think overall, I think the concept of dating on potential or being with someone based on, oh, they can be this or they could go so far, like, that's true for all of us. And, like, I mean, how many, like, we don't even know how high our potential is. Like, I think we're so capable of so many things, but we may not actually ever, you know, we don't really know. And I think it's a problem too, when we think about, like, media, like when we think about movies and and stories and things like that. Like, you know, we often live in a fantasy world. We're given so much fantasy, and even in social media, like this fantasy of what relationships are and things like that. And it's so easy to like kind of create a fantasy world that can possibly potentially exist if this person makes this XYZ change. And it's not necessarily realistic. I don't think we can always bank on people changing. And I think really a person will change when they are ready to change. When they want to, they'll change. Again, sometimes it's a trigger that happens. And yeah, some changes can be good, some changes can be bad. But again, I think you'll know, like you're likely to know if you like a person or not. And the thing is, like, I've definitely been guilty of sticking around somebody too long that I didn't actually like the way they are. And again, people in general, like, you know, it's nice to be around people that actually like you. And it's nice to, yeah, just be real about that with yourself. And sometimes you may not know it, because again, like, and I'm saying that this happened because I was dating on potential, and that just, for me, did not work, because I'm picturing this other thing, which means if I'm liking that future image more than what I'm seeing right now, that's a little dangerous. So I hope that made sense. If not, let me know. We can expand the conversation. Okay, number 4. Are they respectful to others as well as myself? So of course, like, they should respect me, of course. Like, you know, like, I think me having an understanding of like self-respect, like me respecting who I am and making sure that they're, you know, also respecting that, that's good, important, necessary. But how do they treat other people though? And a simple example of this is like, I mean, I worked in the service industry for a while. Like, how do they treat wait staff? You know, are they on a power trip every time they go into a restaurant? That, to me, that's a red flag. I think being able to be respectful to other people, whether you know them or not, for me, that's it's a very important thing. And it's something that I like to observe. And again, like, these are not questions that I'm outright saying. These are all things that I observe. I like to let actions speak for themselves. They'll say, actions will tell me everything, or most things, many things. So yeah, I just, to me, that really matters. I think if someone can't respect other people for various reasons, that can blow up real quick. And I think it also can be a sneak peek into how they can treat you when things aren't going well. So that's my next point. Number 5, it's so hard to read my handwriting. Yes, number 5 is, do they have a good work ethic? And when I say work ethic, I really am thinking about, are they responsible? Like, are they handling what they're supposed to handle? Like, you know, like doing what they're supposed to do. Like, something I really admire about my husband is that he has a great work ethic, and he takes pride in what he does too. It's not about like how much money the person makes, or I'm not saying anything like that. I'm saying, do they handle what they're supposed to handle? Like, are they paying their bills? Like, are they doing what they're supposed to do according to what matters to me? And that's something I definitely observe like that. Yeah, I don't really compromise with that. But what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, so like, I mean, like, for example, like with my husband, I actually didn't know exactly how much money he made until probably like sometime before we got married. It wasn't too long before we got married. And the thing is, like, I'm not saying you shouldn't know. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying one thing either way about that mess, okay? But what I am saying is that I saw that he was paying his bills, being responsible about things like that. Like, I saw his actions demonstrate that. And that's what mattered. That was good to me. It was like, I like that. Because again, like, that can cause like other tension in the future. Like, I think that sometimes it can imply like how they really feel about themselves. And it can, of course, cause financial tension later if those things are not on point. If you don't have that understanding about that, it's hard to teach it's hard to teach an adult how to be responsible. You know, if they don't have that, you know. So anyway, the next one, do they process conflict in a healthy way? So this one is where I really like to observe, like really carefully, because there's some things it is automatic, like I can't deal with this. And I'm saying this based on, I'm basing this on previous experience. So for example, if someone throws something during a disagreement, no, I can't tolerate that. I think that's something that can escalate so quickly, and I don't see that as a healthy way to deal with conflict. It's just not. Also, of course, like calling me outside my name, absolutely not. That's a no. That's an instant no. That's not a healthy way to process conflict. I feel like for me, in the back of my mind, no matter what's been going on, like I just feel like there's certain lines I know that I don't cross, and I don't want my partner crossing. So like, you know, dealing with family, dealing with anything like where there might be, you know, miscommunication, misunderstandings, like still certain lines we don't cross. And I think that could, because again, certain things can escalate very quickly. If someone's okay with certain things, that can be dangerous. So that's a big one. I had another point about that, but I can't remember what it is. But I think in general, just understanding I feel like learning how to disagree is a skill, I think, that takes just time and experience sometimes, just depending on, you know, what you grew up with, of course, too. It's kind of like a skill, I feel like, that has to be learned. Just in understanding that conflict will happen. Like I said earlier, like conflict is going to happen. It's going to happen just because that's life. So being able to like have an understanding of how they deal with it, how they process problems is good. And are you compatible in that way? Have you grown? Have you learned from, you know, whatever situations have taught you how to resolve conflict? Like, I feel like that's important to think about. Okay, so next one, number 7. Do they appreciate me as I am? So this, I know this connects with the one I said before, but I feel like it deserved its own point. I think, once again, like, people deserve to be loved. Like, you deserve to be loved. You deserve to be appreciated and acknowledged. You deserve that. And I think it's very good that even in going into the dating world, that you already love yourself, because if not, I think the dating world is brutal and will just like chew you up and spit you out. Like, it's just a very brutal world. So I feel like, of course, like going into it, you have to love who you are, but it's also important that they like who you are, that they really truly like who you are. And when I say that, I mean just the essence of you. Like, do they like your personality? Do they like your character? Do they like you physically? It can't be like with all of those things, like it's like, oh, if you just did this, this, and this, then you'd be okay. Like, and it's not to say that self-improvement is not important. It's extremely important. It's so important for us to always want to be a better version of ourselves. But if you constantly are dealing with someone who's telling you that you're not enough, the amount of internal damage that can do is just mind-blowing. And again, I think that comes back to respect. I think if they really respect you and stuff like that, they're not going to be cutting you down. It just is not going to happen. Actions speak for themselves. You see all those points tied together? So it's so dangerous to not be loved, and you deserve that. And I don't think people should have to put up with not being liked for, like, really the essence of who they are. And again, I'm not talking about some crazy mess. I'm not talking about, like, you know, if help is really needed, you know, but I'm just saying just overall, like, someone should like you for who you are, you know? I think you understand that point. I hope so. Okay. So then number 8, yes. is this person a good friend? When I think about relationships that last, because I like to learn a lot from people who have been like through it. This is why I like to like, even when like if I was curious about like a workout video or something like that, I actually like to see someone who's like older than myself a lot of the times do it, because like to me that sometimes implies that it's a sustainable thing, like they're doing something that can actually last versus like something that looks cool in a video but will actually like end up deeply injuring me down the line. And I feel like this when it comes to looking up like relationship advice and things like that. I've seen like people who've been married for decades and are happy, okay, because you can be married a long time or be in a long-term relationship a long time and not be happy. But I looked at the people who are happy, and a lot of times they had a really good friendship going. And I feel like that's something that really lasts. So like it's all well and good. Like I'm aware like right now we're young and like we have different phases of relationships, like just in general, like relationships go through phases just with time and just the stages of life. But I feel like friendship is something that can endure through everything. And I just think it's beautiful, and it can pull through in like the tough times, the, chaos and all of that. I feel like a friendship is so important. And seeing that the person as a true partner to me really matters. My husband and I were friends first, and he's my best friend, and I knew we were good friends for a long time. And I was like, and actually that was a huge hesitation for me. And like, even, when he wanted us to be romantic and everything, I was like, I don't want to ruin the friendship. Like, it's like having that base is so good, but that also gave me such confidence in like how long-term our relationship is. I mean, we've known each other for a very long time. And like, again, it's like time has shown me like who he is and how compatible we are as friends. And of course, as romantic partners as well. But yeah, there's a lot of confidence, I think, that comes from knowing that person is your friend. Like listening and being there, and just that general connection. It's beautiful. So then, I'm trying so hard to read this. Let's say, number 9. Number 9 is a little tricky because it can be good or it can be bad, just depending on what you're specifically talking about. So number 9 is, have I neglected my interests since starting this relationship? Now, I think overall, of course, starting a new relationship, it's very exciting. You're trying to get to know that person, spend all this time with them and all that. That's great. But I think it's also good to make sure that other things that are important are not being neglected. A relationship with family, friends. I don't have friends, but I have family. So it's like making sure my relationship with my family is on point. That I'm not losing myself to that. I think, and even like for key interests that I have I pulled away from those too much? I think having some level of individuality is extremely important in a relationship. Like, I need to be able to stand on my own still. Like, just, I mean, as in stand, like being an individual. Like, I have interests, and I need to make sure that I am, keeping up with that. Because I think it's important to really shine and to be able to tap into, whatever that is. Because that just connects you with yourself. And I think loving yourself can make you a better partner too. Just making sure to take that time for you is a good thing. So yeah, just a simple example, like you like to paint, you like making music, writing, whatever, sports stuff, stuff like that. Like, it's still good to have that in general for so many reasons, just to being true to yourself. But then also I think it's cool because sometimes we have unhealthy interests, and maybe your partner introduces you to new interests. Like, I was introduced to things I never thought I would do. Like, camping is one of them. I never thought I would go camping. And then I did it, and I actually really liked it, which is so crazy because I'm a city girl and we just don't do that. But yeah, I really liked it, and it just expanded my interests. And in general, like, there's so many things that I got to learn, new things. So it's just, I guess it's important to understand, like, if you have neglected something, why has it been neglected? Just to make sure that you are, looking like, staying true to you, And then also sometimes in unhealthy relationships, sometimes someone will try and pull you from something that's giving you a certain kind of like happiness. Like, just, I'm saying in like really unhealthy situations. And I'm saying this because I've had that, and I've witnessed that. So just keep that in mind too. Just something to think about. So I hope that one made sense. Like I said, it can be good or bad. It just depends. And it's easy to like accidentally like fall back. It's easy to accidentally like step away. So it's like, I like to have like check-in points throughout anything. Like, you can, like, using holidays. I like to use holidays, for example, as a check-in point for a lot of things, like, or using, just like, oh, where am I? Like, this is why I really like New Year's. It's a chance to check in and evaluate how I'm doing in different parts of my life. Is this where I want it to be? Am I neglecting this? Am I meeting this goal or that goal? Like, it's, for me, it's good to have those. So that's what I like to use, just to kind of keep me on track. Number 10 is, do we have similar family goals? And I feel like this is becoming, I feel like this is becoming more necessary. I know like my generation, like, we're starting to like rethink like, family structure and, what we want. Do you want to have kids? Do you want to adopt? Do you want to actually have your own biological children? Like, there's a lot of different questions that are being asked now that people didn't really ask as much before. Or maybe they didn't. I'm assuming they didn't. So I feel like this is one where it's good to, I don't think we can really make too many assumptions with that now. And it's hard to compromise when it comes to like family and things like that. Like, if you don't want to have kids and they do, like, that's a little hard to compromise, but I'm not saying it can't be done. I'm just saying that's a little difficult. So I think understanding where they're at, like for me, for example, like, I knew since junior high that I did not want to give birth. Like, I didn't want to like bring a kid into this world, but I knew that I did want to adopt or foster. And so it was good for me to understand, like, with a partner, is that something you're open to? Just knowing that they're open to it. And again, some people may like not be too particular either way, but it's good to know, because I mean, if you built so much and then you find out that like they don't want this thing, it's like, and if it really matters to you, that can be really hard. And I think for some things, like, I know I'm saying for a lot of this stuff, like, oh, if it doesn't work, just like kill it or stuff, but it's very difficult, especially if you put a lot of time into a relationship. Like, it's easy to just be like, oh man, like, but I really want this to work. And I'm telling you, like, sometimes it takes multiple breakups and mistakes and things like that to really get to the point where you understand, like, no, I gotta let this go. I have to let this go, because it's just going to lead to unhappiness. And I feel like, you deserve to be happy. Okay? People, we deserve to be happy. Like, we should be happy. And, by the sooner we can know what it is that we want, I think we can really set our lives up better, to, just have that happy life. So that's something. And yeah, so again, I'm not just saying like, oh, just let it go, and like any of that was easy at the time. It really, like, for previous situations, that wasn't, because sometimes you just put a lot of time into it, and it's like, man, I put all this time into this person, now I gotta think about letting this go and all of that. That is hard. And so I feel like having like community and things like that is helpful. I didn't have that for breakups, but I did. Well, I guess, I had family, and I think that helped me. Like, I just clung to what my community was. So for me, my community is my family. So that does help. And I feel like that's just something to keep in mind. But I want to thank you so much for watching. I can't believe I finally did this. I've been trying to record something like this for a long time, and yeah, I'm thankful to the people that gave me the idea. So I'd like to get your thoughts on this. Like, feel free to leave your comments, like reflections, like what did you agree with, what did you disagree with? Like, I'd like to like get some discussion going with this one. So yeah, feel free. If there's any point that you want me to expand on, or if you have a request for another video, also feel free to leave that down below. Yeah, I'm feeling good about this. Yeah, and I think I already have another topic in mind that I want to do, but I feel like why not kick it off with this one? Yeah, so I just want to thank you so much for giving this a shot with me. I'll be back soon with another video. Yeah, so please, until then, be safe, be well, and I'll talk with you later. Bye for now.